Hello everyone and welcome to Yorkshire Gamer, and here we are in the month of November 2024 and it's time for the monthly Wargames update. So it's the usual mix of everything that's going on at Yorkshire Gamer, so sit down with a good cup of tea, Yorkshire of course, and I'll see you in a minute with the new stuff. So, no surprise with the first unit for this month, and that is last month's twerk in progress. And this is the 2nd Battalion of Prussian infantry for the Napoleonic Wars. It is, if we flick under the bases, it is the 2nd Battalion of the 10th Prussian Infantry, or the 1st Silesian. And if you remember, a couple of months ago, I finished the first one. The flag on this one is less shiny, which is a positive. So let's go down and have a look in detail at the bases individually. So we'll start off with the rear rank, and these are the Perry's Prussian plastics. No metals in this particular unit. I usually do mix them up a little bit, but you can see I've used one of the fatigue caps on this chap at the back. All fairly basic and standard uniforms. Name on the bottom spelt wrong. I might have had a couple of whiskies when I did that one. And we're on a 60 by 60 base, which doesn't mean a lot with this one. No rifles leaning forward, so it's just to keep it consistent with all the other bases. But I do like this extra size to the base. I think it makes the units a little bit more imposing. This is the other rear rank base, very similar. All the ones I've got, all the unit troops here have got Shaco, and if we just twist them around a little bit to look on the side, you can see there the sword knots have got 2 lines of red on, where in the 1st battalion they've just got 1. So for all you rivet counters or sword knot counters, just proof of that I've done that. Then on to the command base number 1. So we've got officer here, drummer, and then 6 regular guys, 1 with the fatigue hat on. And I'll give this one a little twirl, Anthea, just so that you can see the detail on the rear. Packs and bags and the over blanket or the shoulder blanket. And I do like these, very nice figures. And then finally we have got this chap here, which is the flag base, and we've got a flag, an NCO next to him, and then again, as usual, 6 regular guys. And if you remember the slightly shiny flag from previous battalion, this one has come out flat, and I've put another layer of matte varnish on the other flag and it's still shiny, so I've got no idea what's going on with that one. But there you go, that is the first unit I've completed this month, which is a battalion of Prussian Napoleonic infantry. So here is the 2nd completed, in inverted comma, unit, and this is a couple of sets of skirmishers for the Young Guard Tirailleur that you've already seen painted up, and these are 28mm elite miniatures. Now I was umming and ahhing about what I was going to do with the skirmish bases on these, and in the end I've gone for 60 by 60. Now this one is a perfect example of why I've done that. It is protecting the rifle on that figure there, and I've had a lot of problems with the Garibaldi stuff with rifles getting bent and broken, paint chipped with the 60 by 30s. I thought about 60 by 40, 60 by 50, but then at the end of the day I thought, why don't I just have everything exactly the same? And it makes ordering bases a lot easy. It does make the footprint larger. You know, if personally you've got storage issues, then you know you get more figures on a smaller area if you're doing 60 by 30s, but you know, I'm a lucky boy, as I've said many times on here. I don't have that issue, so I'm quite happy to do this and have them on the same size basis as the main troops, 2 figures per stand. So let's have a look in detail at some of the stands individually. So here is first stand. These elite miniatures there was a lot less cleaner castings than the one that I've had before. I think these are quite old in terms of the moulding, but still I think these look really nice. I really like the look of the elite miniatures, and we've got the eagles on the turnbacks there, and I love the way that these packs come out. They look real, I think is the best way to put it. And yeah, really happy with the look of those. Bring another one base forward. He's fired up in the air, or he's just fired, and the recoil is pushing him back. And quite thin, these figures, when they're face on. But other than that, very happy. And I like this. I am suffering a little bit with cracking on the base text, which I've not really had before. I don't quite know why it's happening. Probably something to do with the weather. But yeah, we've got in 6 bases, each with 2 figures on, 12 figures, and really happy with those. So that's all I've painted and completed this month, although there's a bit more work in progress. First work in progress, and I was hoping to have these done at the start of the month, but they just aren't ready. These are 28mm Stradiots, westernised Stradiots from the Perrys, obviously for my Italian Wars collection. And I'm working on these 6 at the moment, and we'll just pull these 2 aside because these 2 here are actually finished. We'll just get a bit of a zoom on there. And Stradiots, fairly plain clothing. There's a little bit of striping here and there, but these are representative of Stradiots who've been in Italy for a period of time and have borrowed, lent, delete as applicable, bits of armour off friends that they've met on the battlefield, and just a little bit more heavily armoured than the more traditional type of Stradiot, which we're going to see in a minute. And so that's 2 there. Decided to arm these with lance. I've got another unit of these who are armed with bow, and then these are the 2 bases that are about 2/3 done. I'm working on the uniform colours of the guys at the moment, and this is the more traditional Stradiot here with the top hat, which has got like a tin cap underneath for protection, and layered layers of clothes for protection in inverted commas. The horses are all done, and the bases are all done, and these 6 here are, sorry, these 4 here are probably on the final down slope, just a little bit more detailing to do, and the hat on this chap to finish and flesh, etc. So this will be, well, there'll be 12 figures in total, which will be 2 6-figure units in the Furioso rules that we're playing, and flexible enough to go up to a 12 if required. And then just bring this chap forward to the camera, and then this is how the other 6 are. They've just got the base coats on. For those who haven't watched any of my painting tutorials, this is a colour called Tinny Tin, and it's a base that hopefully I can find him later on. Let's get another one. It's a colour that I use as a base for all my metallics, and it gives a kind of worn, rusty, old style look. Quite warm. It sounds a bit daft, but it makes the metallics look warm. So that's where we are with that particular unit. Another little bit of twerk in progress is this guy, and this is for the next full unit that I'm painting, which will be the Fusilier Battalion for the Silesian Regiment. And this is a Perry's metal figure. This is going to be a mix of metal and plastic figures, and it just gives it a little bit more dynamism, if that's a word. But it still paints up exactly the same way with the lovely looking backpack. And the shoulder strap's got a little bit more detail on with the buttons as opposed to the plastic. But yeah, really like that. I'm always, because I use a black undercoat, I always think that when I do black strapping that I haven't painted it. I keep looking at it thinking it's not finished, but it is. So that will definitely be on the finished shelf for next month. And finally, I have been neglecting the Narvik project recently, and just not been enthused with it for a little while. So I've given myself a little treat, and I've started to make. Can you tell what it is yet? The one and only HMS Warspite, the classic British ship of World War One and World War Two. So what I do is I build these things in sections. So if we look in here, we've got all the turrets. There's some bits of photo etching and stuff in there. I build it and paint it in sections. So although this looks relatively complete here, this is all going to stay unglued and will be painted separately with all the various bits and pieces added on. This is a kit from Trumpeter. I can't turn it upside down because everything will fall out. But there you go, HMS Warspite 1942, slightly later than the 1940 that I want. But as I've said many times before, I ain't having 15 versions of one ship. So that's where we are at the moment. I've just completed that stage, and then next up will be some detail on the deck and then the main superstructure. So I'm just doing an hour or so on that every now and again when I get bored with painting. But that is this week's or this month's Twerk in Progress. Let's have a look how much we've spent. How much? How much? Not very much this month. Quite a tame month, and I think it'll be quite tame for a short while actually. While I paint through quite a lot of the stuff that I've bought recently. So just some periplastics this time that I picked up at T'other Partisan. Another French line infantry battalion. This has got to be the perfect box of figures if you do big units. 36 figures plus skirmishers. Jobs are good, and a couple of spares for other stuff that you're doing. And then I've got another unit of, another box of chasseurs. So I can do 24 figure cavalry units for the Napoleonics. So that is the second half of the other unit or the other box that I've bought, and it'll give me enough to do a unit plus some spares for command stands, etc. And then finally a box of elite company French infantry, which I'm using for Italian Guard. So Dave Thomas at the Wargames shows in the UK does a deal of 3 for, I can't remember how much they are now, but you get a decent amount off. So I always pick up 3 when I'm at a show from Dave to help just add to the stash. So they're going to go and get built and be added to the potential stuff to build in the future or paint in the future. The pile of opportunity. So a quick look at the scores on the doors, as I do every month, and some interesting stuff this month. Up 9 on Facebook on the page, down 112 on Twitters. Obviously, there's been an election in the US, and the least worst, the most worst. Neither of them were any good. Anyway, one of them won, and people didn't like it, and they left Twitter. So that's down 100. That's real. It's a real shame, I think, because I'd managed to block out virtually all the politics on Twitter, and got a really cool wargaming community. But each their own. I've got no problems at all with that. So there's still a lot of people on there. Still a cool platform. Still everybody interacting with everyone who wants to. Instagram up 13 to 3704. Been posting a little bit more on there recently, a little bit more interaction. YouTube's not done anything since last month, but still got another 30 subs, which is nice. Podcast is up 6, nearly at 400. That'll be nice if we tip over that for Christmas. Facebook group went up crazy mad during the World Cup, and it's now steady away. 4837 158680 on the podcast. I've not had anything out on that this month. More on that in a moment. Still nearly 2,000 downloads, which is pretty cool, I have to say. And then Blue Sky, which is where a lot of people from Twitter have gone, and It's fairly nice at the moment there, but there's politics creeping in again, and I don't think you can. I don't think you can avoid it anywhere. People want to push their politics on you, regardless of where they are on the political spectrum, and I'm just not interested. So I'm going through the same thing that I was going through with Twitter in just blocking and getting rid of anything that's politics related on there. But it's up 404. Hopefully that will be a really cool and nice place to go. The same that Twitter was, and for me still is. And there's a lot of wargamers on there. So if you fancy a new social media, bob on there. And I am under Yorkshire Gamer. No surprises there. So lots of changes this month on something that's normally quite boring. And if you follow me on any of them, thank you very much, and you're more than welcome. I'll follow you back if I can, if I remember. I'm pretty useless at that sort of thing. So that's where we are this month. A quick update on other things Yorkshire Gamer. Elsewhere, it's been a quiet month on Yorkshire Gamer, and no new podcasts. And unfortunately, I had to pull out of Steel Lard due to personal illness, and then my wife ended up in hospital. It was for a planned operation, so no dramas, but it was just sooner than we thought. She managed to get a cancellation, so I have been at home looking after Mrs. Riley for a while. That's why there's not been much going on. So that just leaves me to say thank you very much for tuning in and listening to Yorkshire Gamers Monthly Wargames update again. It seems like they've been going on forever, and it amazes me that 1,000+ people tune in every month for this. But there we go. So I'll leave you with the finished figures from this month and some weird history what if with the Young Guard Tyroleur skirmishing in front of some Prussian line. Maybe Russia 1812. I'll leave that one with you. Have a great lead up to Christmas, and I'll see you probably around 21st of December with a Christmas update just before we go into the Analogues Hobbies Winter Paint Challenge. So, Sithee.